All right, and here's the one that goes through what Liz did. 340, making custom shellcode. And it's really pretty easy. You need, the thing that held me up for a while, for some reason, you have to have 32-bit Python, not 64-bit Python. I don't know why. In fact, I just installed Immunity, and Immunity, yeah, it was Caitlin that showed you this. And I installed Immunity, and that installed 32-bit Python 2.7, but here you need 32-bit Python 3. So install that, 32-bit Python 3, and then you're ready. Then you install Keystone with Python 3 pip. So let me try doing this live. We'll see if it works in this machine. If not, I'll just talk about it, but I should be able to do it. This is my clean Windows machine. It got very little on it. So let's see if everything's going to work. I go here, and let's put on Python 3. I don't understand why the 64-bit version of Python did not work, but just experimentally, I found out the 32-bit version works. And it looks like my Windows machine, okay, maybe it'll work. All right, let's see. It's kind of slow, but it's tolerable. I managed to get through the last project, so maybe it's going to work. Python 3 32-bit version. All right. See, these are going to be 64-bit. Here you are, 32-bit Windows installer. I need the Windows installer 32-bit, which is down here. Windows installer 32-bit. Let me zoom that in to make it easier to see. Yep, good. Okay, Windows installer 32-bit. All right, and somehow the Microsoft magnifier is kicked in, which is some horrible thing. The browser has its own zoom that works. The Microsoft installer is just awful. Microsoft Zoomer is just awful and hard to turn off. Right. There, it went off. Good. Okay, so it's downloading this thing. All right. All right. It's giving me a little bit of the nonsense. I guess it must be the interaction of Twitch with the Windows that's making everything slow down pretty miserably. But, all right, how do I get it to unzoom? Let's see if I can succeed in turning off the stinking, worthless Microsoft magnifier. Okay, good. All right. So there's Python. And we don't need the browser anymore, I think. So let's get rid of that. All right. Let's get rid of this stupid, worthless Microsoft product. Okay. And get Python 3 installed. Okay. Add it to the path. This is important. The checkbox is not, you got to hit it. If you don't hit that, you'll have a hard time running Python from the command line. So do that, and then install now. All right. Well, it's slow but not intolerable, so we might get it through. I'm tempted to find Microsoft garbage and terminate it. Maybe it's turning on some worthless Microsoft telemetry or something like before. System interrupts. That's what it was before, which I wonder is something to do with using Twitch. There's that anti-malware service. I won't let me terminate that. That's annoying too. Ruby interpreter is a little goofy. All right. I guess it's not, it doesn't look like junk I can terminate, slowing it down. Confused on a difference between 32 and 64-bit. I only have taken into consideration version before. Is something specific? Yes, there's specific to assembly code. The 32-bit installer will be running 32-bit executables on a 64-bit OS, which you can do in Windows. And I thought for what we're doing here they would be the same, but in practice they don't seem to be. Normally, you use 64-bit installers on your 64-bit OS. That would be the best performance. But Python is, of course, an open source product and kind of hostile to Windows. So running Python on Windows, you always have a lot of trouble. Like it not fixing the path and other things, because it's intrinsically hostile to Windows. That's why I usually much prefer to run Python on Linux. But there are a few cases where you want to run it in Windows, and this is one of them, if it's ever going to get installed. Maybe it made progress? Yeah. Heads up, my internet is being crappy. Yeah, yep. Well, I'm going to try being patient. Because after this, we're going to get to the command line, and I think the command line will be less laggy. Anaconda. I vaguely remember using Anaconda. I've forgotten everything about it, though. You know, I kind of wonder what would happen if I moved this window out of the streamable area, if that would make it run faster. Where it's not trying to stream the graphics from that window. I think it might be faster. Because I think all those interrupts are probably Twitch trying to take snapshots of the pictures. Let's get rid of the slides. I don't need them anymore. It's nearly done installing. I've moved it out of your visible area. Anaconda handles the annoying details. That would be nice. It might work for this. I remember using it years ago, but I can't remember anything about it. It's still installing. Let's see if this... Well, I could pause the recording. All right. So it says it was successful, so we'll close it. And let's try a command prompt and see if we can use Python. If it did successfully add it to the path, then we can do command line stuff. And let's make this bigger. All right, let's try Python 3. All right, let's try Python. All right, Python gives me Python 3. That will do. All right, now that I've got that, we need to install Keystone. I'm going to see if I can copy and paste. That was not working before, but I have hopes it might work now. Oh, first I have to get out of here with exit, open and close parentheses. All right, good. So Python -3 minus Python. I have to use Python, not Python 3, to get it to work on here for some reason. Python -m pip install Keystone engine. That is the engine that Caitlin was using that lets you write shellcode in your in Python. So let's see if this is going to move. That's what I thought. Command line stuff I think will move because I think the slowdown is coming from graphics. Yep, there it is, supposedly installed it. So now we can make some test shellcode. So it's even letting me use copy and paste. This is bloody awesome. So I make a directory C shell just to have somewhere to work. And then I make a program called add.py, which is going to be the simplest kind of shellcode. I'll say create a new file. And now I paste in this code. All right. And paste. Good. All right. This is the same code Caitlin used in her demo. So if you go up to the top, the assembly code is here. It's just going to have an interrupt to break into the debugger and then XOR and increment. And down here is the boilerplate that's always there. This is what will assemble the code. And this will run the shellcode in a thread. And here's the thing that calls those functions. It assembles the code and then runs it in a thread. So you get to insert the raw assembly code here in Python and run it from there. So I save this, file save, and close Notepad. And now I do Python add.py. And that has encoded it. It's created the shellcode. Now I can connect it to debugger. So we can use immunity. Caitlin used WinDebug, which is unnecessarily cruel. Immunity is easier for us. All right, and now I do File, Attach. Okay, and I'm going to make the font bigger. All right, I can make that even bigger. Let me fix that while I'm here. It's Options. All right, any Python I connect to. I'll just attach to Python. That's all right. We'll see how big this stuff is. Attach to Python. And then you have to press enter. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me fix this font. My font is horrible. It's right click, appearance, fonts, OEM should help. It does help, but I can do even better if I can get the options. It's options, appearance. Yeah. All right. I thought I fixed this, but I think because this is a new install, I haven't done it. So I'm going to take OEM and modify it and make it bigger. I'm going to make it Lucida bold 14. There we go. Now it's easier to see things. So here we are. Now I'm going to go here and run the shellcode by pressing enter. Okay. And it should run to an int command. Maybe it didn't hear my enter. Enter, I say. It's in that window. Oh, I know why. I have to run it here, right? I entered it, and now I have to run it here. So it's running. Okay. Now I think I have to go here and press enter because it wasn't running to listen to me. Nope. Well, all right, looks like I'm just going to have to talk about this one because somehow it is not working, which I attribute to the streaming. Okay, I'll just talk my way through this one. Having enormous trouble streaming Windows lately, but that's life. Now, is the boilerplate code important? Yes, it is. If you don't have the boilerplate code, it won't run. So what's going on here is the assembly code is just a variable, including a bunch of text. And this is the thing that will assemble it, and this is the thing that will run it. So you need that. So first you need to assemble it, and this is the Keystone engine that will assemble it and then create a thread and run it. That's the idea. All right. So anyway, all right. It should have moved forward to the int3, but my Windows machine is refusing to work just like last time when I'm streaming. And so that's it for that one. You'll just get an error message because remember, this one doesn't actually do anything. It does an X or an increment, and then it doesn't even return or break or anything. It just hits an error. And now you can do the reverse shell that she did. You can make a listener, so download nmap, and run an administrator command prompt, ncat minus nlvp 443. That will be listening on port 443 on your local host. And now you can make real shellcode, which is more here. This has got all those things she talked about. It finds the process environment block. It finds the modules. It hunts through the modules to find the function you need. And it finds down here function. Somehow it finds the right function. I forget the details here. Terminate process, load library, create process. And it finds the base address of WS232, which is a networking DIL. It finds it, and it's because it's loading a Microsoft library directly in assembler. That's what all this is doing. So it's going to find WSA startup, which is what you have to do to use WinSock connections. And then it's going to call WSA sockets and WSA connect. And this is the function calls, which we were just talking about earlier in the lecture. You have to line up all the parameters, push them on the stack, but push, push, and then call. So when it jumps into the function, it'll find the parameters there. So this will call the startup, sockets, and connect. And this will push startup info and create a command string. This is readable text. This is cmd dot, and some places the exe up here. exe, and I think the ff is the end. So this is going to execute cmd.exe and connect it to the network socket it just created, and that's what a reverse shell is. And someplace in there is the address, which is set to a loopback address. I may not be able to find it. There it is, 127.001. That's it, 127.001 backwards in hexadecimal. So it's going to call 127.001. That's the assembly code. And you leave all the rest of the boilerplate there, which is the Keystone code that will compile it and run it. But you have to add all that assembly code. And when you do, it will do a connect back. You run it here. You don't need the debugger anymore. In fact, maybe I'll try this, because it seems to me like it's just things still failed when I used the debugger, because it's mostly the graphics. That's why I thought this demo might be worth doing, because I thought I could get away without using much graphics. It seems like even immunity is too much graphics for my, yep. It was the, so here, let's just do that one. I think it'll work, because that one is command line only. I do need to put nmap on first, however. Let's see if this is going to work. nmap.org. And nmap always hides their downloads. Oh, it was there. Get nmap there. That might have worked. That's new. Oh, good. This is beginning to be just a little bit friendly. Nmap for Windows. Then you have to go to here. Okay. Not very friendly, but a little better than it used to be. There we go. "12 minutes left. Let me try moving it out of the visible area to see if that will make it move. "19 minutes left. Okay, well, it's happening to me again for some, and it's a brand new Windows machine with enormous resources. But I think this is something new wrong with Twitch, because earlier in this course I was able to demonstrate Windows. I think if I do any more Windows demos, I'll have to make pre-recorded videos when Twitch is not turned on. Somehow Twitch is totally crashing. Anyway, that's the point. You can run that thing. You can make a connection back to your NCAT listener and get a Windows shell. So, all right. I think I'll stop this video. That's as good as a video as I can make. Twitch seems to have gotten much worse a couple weeks ago.